I usually get up by 9:30, but some said today, man, get up. It was by 7. Get up, just get up. So I did. And the first thing I see is TMZ and Miss Felicia Moore saying that that me and Isaac Hayes III cost her the election due to misinformation, right? First thing, how can she totally negate all, like, everything that happened outside of, okay, if you're saying you didn't really plan to shut down the strip clubs, whatever. That's old news, ma'am. It's over. It's over. It's over with, man. Whether you want to shut down strip clubs, studios, hookah bars, whatever it is, ma'am, what you did was you lost sight of one thing. This culture, the creatives in this city, we run this town. We do. And we need someone and the citizens of a city make the decisions of who should lead that city. All right? Now, I got a chance to watch the video. And another thing that was interesting, she said that celebrities shouldn't even be involved in politics. So that sounds eerily similar to when people said to LeBron to shut up and dribble. Right? You see, it's that very energy, it's the spirit of that, the tone of that is the reason why you aren't fit to sit in the seat of the mayor of Atlanta. You don't understand. You don't understand. You dig? We run this town. All of the business that comes to this city, all of the people who decide to move to this city, the tourism dollars, all of that comes from our culture. We were here first. Anyone who doesn't acknowledge that or who can't hold that in high regard is not fit to sit in the seat of the mayor of Atlanta. Now, I wish her the best, and I hope she finds a position that she's better suited for, but it was not this. It simply was not. You were out of touch. You do not understand. You can't come into a city that was built by a host of creatives and say that, you know, and expect to run that city and don't think that these creatives will get involved. Ma'am, you're intelligent enough to know better than that, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Reginal Drummer, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. Tonight, no different than any other night, we're always focusing on anything that helps us dealing with being ready. And we got to be ready at all times. We got to hold up our own end because nobody's coming. Nobody's going to help us. So you're going to have to be ready, whether it's a man-made disaster or a natural disaster like what's just happened in Kentucky. But no matter what it is, we will always focus on making sure that we're prepared, going over dialoguing with men and women in the community to make sure we have an understanding of what our needs are, what our expectations are. Tonight, and if you saw the video before, we're talking about culture and politics, past culture and the culture that's currently in our face. Many politicians are seeing that you might be out of touch. You need to get in touch. You need to figure out what's going on, who your people are that you represent, and people are finding out if the politicians are out of touch, if they're not representing the culture or the flow of the people within that community. So tonight we're going to be joined by a couple of special guests as I bring the brothers in, but I want you to think about it out there in the audience. I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. But a couple key things we look at, and we'll be looking at tonight, how does culture and race affect the direction of American politics? And got a couple of brothers this evening. Faces looking familiar. Brothers, you know how we do this thing. You can always introduce yourself and get right in there. But, we're going to talk a little bit about how culture, especially, we just might as well put the elephant in the room, Black culture, how it affects politics, especially today. And we've seen the change of the guard, the old school, the new school, different things and issues, but we're going to be chopping that up tonight. But I want you guys to introduce yourself and reintroduce yourself to some of those that have not met us. And you can let the audience know who you are, who you represent. And, we're going to chop that up. Maybe Brother Eric, you can get right in there and just tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you represent.
Well, good evening, everyone. Eric Morton here. I'm a representative, like I said, the Dads on Duty of Atlanta. And like I said, my background is training, whatnot. My background also is in the film industry here in the business. And it's interesting talking about this, the topic ahead, talking about culture, because there's so many things that we need to. And you can reach me at elawmorton@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments or just some things you want to do, just hit me again at elawmorton@gmail.com. So we'll be glad to be on board, Drummer. Thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you there, Brother Eric. Brother Ray, how you doing this evening?
Check your audio, Brother Ray.
Brother Ray, might have to check that audio.
My mic got muted.
That's okay. How you doing?
Man,
doing
I'm
great,
wonderful,
brother.
Man. It's great. It's great to be here. This is a wonderful topic. I'm Ray Jones with HerozTV, where we shine a light on the heroes in the community. I'm also with ADOS Atlanta, and we're pushing for reparations and a Black agenda. So out here doing the work, and it's an honor to be here, my brother.
Thank you there, Brother Ray. Brother Nathan Dyer, how you doing, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yeah, how's everybody? Hope everybody's well. My name is Nathaniel Dyer, and I have a youth organization called Kids First, where we make sure that they empowered and prepare for the future. Also, have a
I can't hear you, bro.
Your audio's out there, Brother Nate. Might
okay, you
check
hear me now?
that mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Also, testing 1 2 testing. Also, just about Black empowerment, making sure that we're represented in the best light possible, and really big against this propaganda against us to make us look like the biggest buffoons on the planet. Yeah, and that's a misrepresentation of us, and it impacts young people to make them not feel comfortable within their skin. Okay.
Well, definitely. Thank you, Brother Nate. Thank you all, brothers. If you saw that introduction here in Atlanta, we just had a mayor's race. And if you've been following the race a couple months ago, with all the candidates and different people that threw their hats in the ring, and actually got an opportunity to see a lot of debates and things of that nature. But fast forward, it came down to a runoff, and it's like a battle between cultures within the Black community. Case in point, you got a younger population of people that's influential, that's got some money, resources. They got the ideas, and they looking for a direction. And if the candidates can't deliver on that, a lot of these candidates gonna find themselves, lack of a better term, without a job, because we got a different population. But either you gentlemen can get in there. I know, Brother Ray, you go right in the face of our local politicians, Brother Nate, Brother Eric, and but Brother Ray, I know you go right in there and tell
Yeah,
them what's on the table, what you want.
yeah,
So
no doubt. It's interesting, man, the way the whole thing worked out. Now, let's not be deceived. T.I. and Killer Mike and Isaac Hayes, they played a role in Andre winning, but at the end of the day, it's just numbers. Felicia had a horrible chance of winning, being that her number one, her arch nemesis, Kasim Reed, came in number 3. So out of just to play the spoiler, they were not going to vote for her. So they combined their numbers with Andre, and my enemy is my friend basically happened. But yeah, culture definitely plays a role in politics and in the city. I'm not going to take anything away from the Instagram campaign that T.I. pushed when it come to getting Andre in there. So yeah, Black culture is definitely influential in the city, and they're very afraid, them people in Buckhead, because she had the North Side Buckhead behind her strong. So I think they were very upset at how things changed.
wow.
Hey, well, my take on it is, you look at all the supposed Black mayors that we have had, and you look at the conditions of Atlanta, which is supposed to be the Mecca. And my vantage point has always been that Sam Massell is the mayor of Atlanta. He was the last considered, I guess he's a Jewish man, but considered white as relates to, the political scheme of things. But, and you look at how they are cowering to the needs or the desires of a Buckhead. So how Black can the city be when your priority is, we don't want them to leave, don't leave us. What's us gonna do once Massa gone? So what has really changed about and these are people supposed to be of educational backgrounds, supposedly world travel experience. But on that stage with Dickens, we had all these mayors. And in my opinion, that's probably gonna be the worst job he ever asked for, because he's gonna be henpecked and pretty much going to be the run-it boy, the errand boy for all the former mayors. That's including Andy Young.
Wow.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Well, my take on it is that one thing I would say, I'm glad to see that politics can't just count on us to be behind one person. We're starting to have some dynamic in this political conversation, and people need to stop taking Black vote as only one type of vote, one type of understanding, one type of background, one type of interest, and start looking at we are just as diversified as every other ethnic group out there. And we need to, I'm just happy to see that. And this is an opportunity for us to say, you older people that don't want to get involved because you think it's business as usual, you younger people, you can get involved and change things. It basically says that now we got to get going and get in the process, and we can't sit on the sideline any longer.
Hey, wow. We can't sit on the sideline, but I was wondering, Nathan, you got me really wondering, which one is worse, to be handpicked by the former mayors or be handpicked by Buckhead? Like that's like, what are we doing
Well,
here?
you know, Ray, I'll tell you
Well,
like this. This is the way it goes, okay? That group that was on stage, all of them have cowered, you know, history shows it. And the budget that they have contributed to Buckhead heavily. And we've got nothing back in return. There was this old
well,
saying that the dollars roll through the north and the pennies come to the south. You know,
wow.
and that's pretty much the
Mm.
rule. Yeah, that's the
Well,
rule.
well, gentlemen. You know, now this is new fuel. Okay. The accountability factor is in, and the younger population of people seems to have a little bit of an idea how to move things forward and keep people in check. Do you guys see this younger population through social media and things of that nature, putting it out there? I mean, the mayor candidate here in Atlanta is backed by young people. And do you see young people holding him accountable, or will he cow down to other interests? Because, you know, from what's going on, they said we put you in office and we expect certain things. I mean, we don't have a clear agenda, but some of those things are making sure our neighborhoods have affordable housing, making sure that crime is, you know, looked at, and making sure that we get a piece of the pie and the pennies don't flow down. We want some of this pie. So do you see this young population and future people holding these people accountable, these politicians?
It's going to take work, but you know, we got to be a little specific now. It's young people on all sides of this thing.
Right.
So, and he's going to be pulled basically from every side. You got young people, a lot of supported Felicia. She had a lot of LGBT. You have a lot of women that are going to say you need to pull for women's issues. So we have to make sure that he understands that there is an untapped voting block that will get him out of there. So the way I step to him is we need to have a youth engagement plan. It needs to be a part of policy to where you're investing dollars in youth, and specifically the ones you're so concerned with committing crime, because you can't solve crime without dealing with the systemic poverty issues in our community. So he has to really be held accountable, and we have to force him to do the work for us when he's in office.
Good point.
I just really hope that the people who are his backers, who can actually say they can come out and say, hey, I voted for you and we want some things here, we want you to be held accountable, is that they continue to focus on that and put him out there. And for me, my hope is that the people who didn't vote for him are paying attention and watching, and make it very clear that whatever he steps forward and what he moves on is actually the right thing to do for the whole community. Because there has to be a give and take here. Is that, to me, it shouldn't be that he only does what only his voting block was, because they're not the only ones that live in this town. So that's what
I just like to add, he doesn't control anything. You know, holding him accountable doesn't move anything. When we start holding the corporate entities in this city, you know, starting with, like I say, themselves, the Arthur Blanks, all those big developers, the CBREs, the NCRs, all those companies, the Googles that's moving here, then we get him to change. See, he's not going. He has no power to do nothing except look out for, as in my opinion, they tell him you don't touch nothing on the north side. You know, that's us. Because you look at the Business Chronicle, what does City Council and the mayor have to do with what's going on in the Business Chronicle in Buckhead? Nothing. So
Okay.
yeah, think about it. So their realm is the homeless under the bridges and what they consider, I just say, the niggas on the west side.
Okay. I know you put it kind of straight in our face, but is there anything we can do? I mean, because as a people, and when you say shaping these businesses, the people that's got the money and the means. I was looking at something talking about the workforce in Georgia, and especially since COVID-19, a lot of people have really started to look at working for these companies, which are kind of like plantations. They were able to dominate and control how they hired people, who they hired, who they brought in. But this forward thinking of the wokeness of the Black community, is that going to be something that, or is there an idea of how we can move
Yes.
these companies to support us
Well, yes. So
in our efforts?
you have community benefits agreements to where
Okay.
the community has the ability to make sure companies hire this many people and this specific group of people. When they move in, you have to demand that. And that's why it's so important to make sure the city council is um, making community benefits agreements available to the NPUs, which are the neighborhood planning units. So we have the ability to do that, but on a micro level, we have to have the heart to do it. So it boils all the way down to the neighborhoods themselves being strong enough to give pushback to these corporations. But we have the tools, and we got to just make sure. And that's where I kind of disagree with you, Nathaniel. We can put pressure on the city council and the mayor to say, no, you finna do what you say you're going to do. So, and then through them, we can put some pressure on the corporations. So,
Well, I just like to respond. Well, I believe it's twofold. I agree with you that we do put pressure on city council and the mayor. But again, I'm just talking about what history has shown. And me, I've done a lot of advocacy around school board. But the reason I was able to make a lot of headway is because I targeted the puppet master. And that entity, around Bethune, like the English Avenue, Vine City area. How you going to say you're going to close schools, but yet you're building a $2 billion stadium, a $50 million Mills Park. You're putting in a Walmart, the Bellwood Court. So when I lay all of those things out in a map, where, of course, I know the board doesn't have anything to do with it, except push the votes to make it close. But through our activism and the rallies that we had, of course, beating up those puppets, but also showcasing, okay, this is what the big business entities have to gain from it. Because you look at it now, we got $400,000 to $600,000 homes in Mosley Park and Vine City. But yet these clowns are saying affordable housing, affordable for who? So who's under attack? They don't protect the children, and I say that kind of goes way back to the missing and murdered children.
Exactly.
When have they apologized or said it's safe for you to come outdoors? They haven't done that. And then you look at the senior citizens who are vulnerable. So and these people have been in these positions forever. But finally, it's basically a clean slate now. And I think that's going to give us a great opportunity. Like you said, you all were speaking earlier, we galvanize. So there's an opportunity. But Reginald, I have to say, we have to take the whole damn pie. Look to take the whole pie. Stop taking these crumbs.
Okay.
And I like what you're saying there, brother Nathaniel, because first of all, you come in and you and the people that you got with you all looked at the full planning. And see, that's something that a lot of us in the community are unaware of. They're unaware of how things get started in the community. And we normally don't show up until the bulldozers are moving. And when the bulldozers are moving, it's too late. It's too late. And I give you an example of what happened here in my community down here in Union City some years back is that they were trying to expand the J.C. Loudmore detention facility literally to less than a rock's throw from the backyard of our neighborhood.
Right.
And so what we did was rally the community because our community was fairly new at the time. And we got together and we started shedding light on it that we don't want this thing to be that close to our community. But we had to get involved first. We had to learn things about community, about planning, about everything from the different things that these when they start developing, we had to learn about the runoff into our property that literally got them stopped. Because if we didn't do that, they would have went ahead and expanded that and built that and act like people here weren't doing it. But what we found out too, and this is another thing you got to be aware of when you start doing these fights, they started trying to get people who didn't even live in our community to sign on and say that we were given the permission, and we had to make it clear the ones that you all are trying to listen to and get their approval don't live here.
The ringers. Yeah, they bring in
Well,
those ringers.
Well, one of the things we have to understand, politics is a chess game. Okay, that means that even though we're talking local politics, and we definitely need to focus on local politics, but we got a governor's race coming up. We got a Senate race that's going to be coming up, and then we got a presidential race that's going to be coming up. Here in Atlanta, when they did the election, only 21% of the people turned out to vote.
That means
that's still a disinterest. So, what, and maybe you guys could share this with our audience. What's one of the, because you got different people putting it out. We need to get more involved. And well, how do you get people to get more involved in their communities? Which, I mean,
let me say this, Brother Reginald. So if only that many people showed up, they should be very afraid. Very afraid, because if you have a quote unquote low turnout, incumbents supposed to stay seated. They're supposed to say,
okay,
good. Incumbents actually like a low turnout because familiarity, people just voting for who, it's no excitement. So you got to think, if there was no excitement and the people who did show up were against the incumbents, that's scary if we happen to, get people out to vote. How do you do that? You got to speak specifically to their issues. People are tired of these politicians coming in their community talking about potholes. Meanwhile, so if you're not dealing with we need to end gentrification. We need to make sure that we don't have police brutality in this city. We have to deal with the racial wealth gap in this city between blacks and whites and put a name on it. People are tired of the people of color narrative. They're tired of throwing minority on there. If you're not talking specifically about their issues, they're not going to show up. But if you do and have a ground game and go door to door, people are going to come out and they're going to show you something.
Okay. Okay.
I can go with that. Yeah. You've got to come with people that are on the ground for that. And you've got to have a platform that's going to encompass that, because you can have a lot of issues that don't affect everybody. But you got to say things like safety. Well, safety affects everybody. You should be worried about that. We need to be worried about things like emergency planning, because just imagine that tornado could have came right through the center of Atlanta. Now, I don't care where you live at. When that tornado come through, it don't care how much your house is worth or what it's not worth. You need assistance. So even an emergency plan needs to be there, and you need to be able to count on that so it works for the benefit of everybody in need of that plan. So it's issues like that. I'm just saying is that you got to start looking at things that we deal with. Yes, a lot of us drive on the roads. Yes, a lot of us want to go shopping at places and are affected by safety and stuff. So I agree. We need to focus on those issues that affect everybody, because in the end, some of these things that are affected can have a twofold effect. That if we stop and nullify some things, if we say we're having a problem with the young people supposedly not having nothing to do, well, if we make those things there happen for them, they can be a lot more productive doing other things in the community that the community can benefit from. So we need to look at those things on their agenda too, to get people out and support.
And I know, and that's one thing, I was looking at the governor campaign that's going to be coming up. And one of the things that Stacey Abrams said, she said she was going to make it more local versus national. Okay. Some of the national politics can be rhetoric. It could be things that really don't help us, don't focus on our interests. And if we're going to shape our communities, we have to be a lot clearer, especially Black and brown people, because it always looks like everybody else gets what they want. Okay,
It does look like that.
you know, it's like other groups, whether it be business, they get what they want because they got the money. A lot of the other groups we say, well, Black and brown people have been here forever, and it's hard for us to get anything. A lot of other minorities seem to get things done because they have a one game plan, and they stick that in their face. I know one of the things you're out there working on, we talk about reparations in our community. You know, you got a plan that's right in their face that says, okay, this is what we want. I know we look at reparations, but and I know you've got a clear-cut plan there, but what are some of the things you all see in your neighborhood that would be a win for your community? You know, whether it's a business coming in there, whether it's improved roads, whether it's the better schools, but you know, if you could give me like two things that you would love to see a politician get involved with, or the community or business, you know, because it's got to be people, politicians, and business to make this thing work.
Well, I'd just like to say, I don't rely on politicians to bring anything because, you know, I think we talked earlier about being proactive more than being reactive. And if we look at the vote, it's a dead issue in a sense that if you go cast it and you go home and think nothing about it, oh, somebody won, somebody lost. Well, what's the point in voting? I believe you should vote every day of the year, you know, hold those people accountable. And by putting together a proactive plan, I think the reason we fall behind the ball is because, you know, we wait and see what they're going to present instead of coming to them saying, hey, here's our agenda. Here's what we're looking for. Whether you get in or not, you know, we're going to punish you on the trail, after the trail, to make sure that our needs are met. And with like the team that we have here on the line, we can put something together comprehensive that's holistic, that can meet all the needs. You know, I know you say it's a 1-2 thing, but we're so deep in the hole that 1 or 2 things might create a crack. But hell, we still got things falling on us. So we need a comprehensive plan that's got to last a minimum 10 to 15 years or more, and then be revamped.
And I agree with him with that part of that plan. And part of that plan for me would be to think about the economic impacts of higher wages. And I don't mean higher wages to so-called meet the $15 minimum. I'm talking about making that standard about $20 an hour start across the board, because that's part of the reason why a lot of businesses can't go back to work, because right now the compensation that people are getting paid to stay home is actually the same or better than it is to go to work. Right. So if we want people to go back to work, give them a real financial reason to go back to work. Then you got more people back to work. You got less people out with idle time. And you got people putting back into the financial infrastructure that helps the places where they live at. Because most people, they benefit from working 10 to 15 minutes away. Yeah, people may commute a little bit further than that, but guess what? The dollars here in Metro Atlanta stretch over a combined area over 3,000 square miles. And I'm talking about if you go from top of Fulton County to the bottom of Fulton County, east and west, out to DeKalb County, out to, you know, Cobb County and stuff, that's still dollars here that's being done in the metropolitan area. So I'm just saying that one thing we could do was really go after a true wage that may be a metropolitan uplift, which would help us on this level, because we're affected by it here in such a wide area. And I know companies that say, well, that's going to put me out of business. Then guess what? A lot of businesses have gone out because they couldn't keep up. Remember, told Henry Ford that the horse and buggy was going to be around forever. And I don't think any of us grew up riding on no horse and buggy.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. So we have to put all the pieces together, because to your point, Nathaniel, you just can't put all the pressure on politicians to do everything. They literally we are the fuel to make sure that they get off their butt and do what needs to be done. And we have to be planning and have to create systems outside of politics. And really, only thing we'll use them for is to be a bully pulpit, a microphone, bring attention to. Look at how much money just the city of Atlanta's marketing budget could market us getting behind, say, for instance, like I say, a youth engagement plan where we actually say, okay, we're going to unify all these subsections of brothers that consider themselves street gangs or whatever. Instead of them doing dirt, we teach them skills and plug them into jobs if they want that, or give them the training to become entrepreneurs. But there's a catch to that. Whatever product that they're selling, whatever service they're providing, us as the community have to support them. And then we use the city of Atlanta's bully pulpit, just like they market for the Olympics and they market for giving these COVID shots. Use your marketing budget to say, we're going to get behind the youth of this city in any venture that they want to do. As long as it's legal, we are going to support them as a community. So it's things like that that we can do, but we have to put pressure. It's all hands on deck, basically.
Well, and I want to throw this in because we had a question, and I was just over there looking at it. The Black Panthers back in the 60s, they had a 10-point game plan for the Black community. And one of the things you said, Nate, we need about 10 or 15 years to kind of get our stuff in position. Okay. And that almost means we have to isolate.
I want to correct that. I want to correct. I didn't say 10 to 15 years to put it together. It's got to sustain itself a minimum.
For that.
With everything we said in the last, basically the whole out can be successful for our communities. But, here's the crazy thing. Why do we have to put pressure on people that look like us to bring this thing to fruition?
well, again, and I was saying, we have to sustain it. It's like, if we're going to do this thing, it's got to be like a chess game. In that 10 to 15 year plan, coming out the door, hitting these people, holding them accountable for everything. I'm talking about ourselves first. We got to hold ourselves accountable. Right. The men have to be more involved in the communities, their families, things of that nature. We have to hold politicians accountable. Those politicians are men and women of the community. So we have to check them and put them in position, just like the people in Buckhead, they hold those people accountable. And then when we get businesses, we got black dollars. Okay. If you're not going down with us on the things that we line up to be of interest to our communities, we have to, for lack of a better word, boycott those businesses. We can hold our dollars back if we don't have to go to the games. And that might be something we have to really strategize about what to do in your family. Because if your family decided not to go to a baseball game or a football game or buy XYZ sodas and eat this type franchise food, those people will cater.
Well, I say this
to your interest.
I just say, our economic power, there's no question about the economic power that we have. But people who have that type of power and that's being oppressed and abused should have some type of protective mechanism, like a militia, to protect their interests. We can accomplish all the great things. History has shown us. Tulsa, Roseville, all those various places where we have built our own. We tried to, just do for ourselves because we weren't getting anything from the government. So that's success within it. We weren't asking for welfare and all this. We were given the 40 acres and a mule, and the government, Johnson took it back because he feared that the poor whites couldn't compete with us. You look at where we are now, we need a protective force to protect our interests because we're not going to be able to enjoy it because they're going to try to kill us, shoot us down.
What would, other than an angel, what would that protective force look like?
It would be a militia. We have to have an armed militia. Pretty much like a National Guard entity. So if the Black community is under a serious level of attack or whatever, hey, just like the National Guard galvanizes and comes together for certain missions, we need to think seriously. And I believe when we start thinking on that level, I believe all of our the answers to our issues will pretty much start coming together because we understand the consequences of the things we ask for. You know, better education, better jobs. You know, I like that opportunity, that idea about the $20. Imagine where they will put our communities, you know, as it relates to the poverty scale that they've been on. You know,
and not, and to add to that though, exactly what you're saying is and the other thing is that even within our communities, we have to change our knowledge base and start learning about things that take us and keep us out of poverty. It's not going to do us any good to go get a $20 job paying an hour, but yet we got spending habits that say we ain't nothing going to be with spenders with making $20 an hour if we're not saving, if we're not investing, if we're not, like you said, being selective about where we're spending our money, because our dollars are very, very powerful.
And
dollars are very powerful.
Yeah, and with what you just said, it would be wow. The sky's the limit at that point, because now they're educated, they're frugal, they're budgeting, you know,
and investing. And growing their wealth, because if we believe that it's wealthy people who actually can affect politics, then guess what? Let's grow our wealth and affect politics.
Absolutely. And what y'all talking about is a code. But it starts internal. First of all, we have to have an internal code within ourselves. Then a code within our family, our immediate circle of influence. Then a code within the entire community, meaning Black businesses. Yes, it takes money to do everything we need done. We need y'all to contribute to whatever it is, even if that includes pushing or grooming a candidate. We all have to be on the same page. So once we get that code in check, where we're prioritizing things and say, okay, we are going to put ourselves first: family, economics, and politics. And we're going to focus on these three things. And that includes health. That includes, when we put ourselves first and get a code and we're all on the same page, that's the system. And that's going to be the progress we need.
And those are the things we can put into our community and ask for our own families. We've got to stop doing these things that make no sense. We got to stop doing these things that keep our people in getting our people in trouble. We got to stop doing these things like living off the system, and then we want to get people engaged. And they're following the system. If you want to change that system, get off of it and show them that you don't have to depend on the government for your survival. You have those abilities right there in your own family. All of this generational stuff, we got to stop doing it. We got to let people know it's not okay to continue following these things. Take charge of your family. Take charge of you. Stop being somebody who's not being productive, because people are not going to listen to you when you're around here. If you're doing things for yourself and supporting your families, then people are going to have a different view of you.
And, you know, I just say this: the code and, you know, the responsibility component equals Black love. You know, I'm willing to die for you and your family, and you're willing to die for me. And we understand we're all in this together. That's transcendent, you know, upon everything that we embark on, because now we have trust. And I don't believe it takes 5-10 years for Black people to come together. We just need that one component to say, I'm willing to die for you. I'm willing to arm up. You know, men, let's get together. Women, let's protect the children. Put the children first. When we do that, everything falls into balance.
I want to Drummer that plan, the 10-point plan. The thing is that I want to look at that, because I can probably guess that there's some things that was in that 10-point plan that they talked about that are still affected and needed today. But now we have different resources and different people in the community that we maybe revise it so that our community can have a guide to go by to change things.
Yeah, and I just want to throw that out real quick. We're gonna go through it real quick. But one of the 10-step plan the Black Panthers had, and it would have did, because we had a question about Katrina and natural disasters. That plan, which would have been good for that, and it's still good for anything. Now, some of these things might be time sensitive, you know, but one of them was freedom. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of the Black community. Number 2, we want full employment for our people. Okay. And number 3, we want an end to the robbery by the white men of the black community through capitalism. Number
Mm,
4, we want decent housing. That's still prevalent.
mm.
Fit for shelter of human beings. Number 5, we want education for our people that expose the true nature of the American society. Not putting us in position where we harmed by those things that were built into white supremacy. We want all black men to be exempt from the military. That's another one. Number 7, we want an immediate end to police brutality. Number 8, we want freedom for all black men held in free federal, state, county prison, because a lot of our people have been locked up for false reasons.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 60s. We want land, bread, housing, education. Well, those are some things that are still relevant today. And if you can do that within your family, if you can do that within your community, and we are the most skilled people. But one of the other things, and you all brought this point up, one of the things that hinders the progress of forward movement of black and brown people is the backlash of when black people are doing well.
Yeah, because you got the whole system that is designed
going against you.
Yeah, I mean, look, we literally, I know y'all seen that meme of that table where brothers they have their back they had it back down, and white men are playing a game on top of the table. This whole thing is designed off our backs. When we stand up, everything collapses. So it's dependent upon us being we was talking about culture and media, right? America's #1 export is culture, and that's black culture. And it's dependent on us being in this lower caste position, and they exploit our trauma. When we stand up, the game is over with.
And that's negative and positive. And that goes again, we have to control the narratives, like when we fit in our families. Most of us are decent, moral people, okay? We have to put that out and get ourselves out of that paradigm where people say, well, the only reason we doing these folk like that, look at them. They robbing, stealing, cheating, and all this type of stuff. And we know that's not true. Yeah, we got some crime and things like that happening, but each of you gentlemen are out there, whether it's with your family, whether within community, even when we have disagreements with politicians, church leaders, all these folk, we still do it in a civil manner. We're not out trying to kill and hurt each other, but we want to get some forward movement and some sustainability. And one of the only ways you can fight a system is with a system. It becomes very difficult to fight individually because we got a system. And when they said the system puts things in place, whether financial, health-wise, educational-wise, they teach you what they want to teach you in order to control your actions and your behavior. They also control the system which is driven by money and often greed, and it entice politicians to go against the grain of their own community. So, but for us, and this is something to share with the audience, we're going up against that system, white supremacy, and it's in favor of the white male, whether he's poor, rich, or whatever. And there's a degree of backlash every time we get some degree of success. That happens no matter what we do. But it can also happen in politics. But in order not to create a division, but put us in a position where with our awareness of our money, a lot of people are aware about the money they have. A lot of people are more aware about getting property, and that could put a wedge between us and our community, because some of these brothers said, well, we buying property, we doing this, we doing that. It's y'all ain't doing this. But are there any suggestions that you brothers have for us, putting us on code together, not letting financial means, not letting even gender means, where there's so many things that separate and divide the black community. But when you got a system, which is in America, white supremacy, all those things are in second place. The big thing is maintaining that system. But is there a black system that you want to see or you think you can do? Go ahead, Nate.
Well, hey, that system you're talking about, that white supremacy, that's the weakest system in the world. If that system was strong, we'll still be in slavery. Well, I mean, it's a mindset. That it's a mindset. You
Mm.
know, again, we were given the 40 acres and a mule, but from the White House, they were in fear of us not being controlled by the whites. So they had to put the planters back in place to put us in the sharecropping, which was basically another form of slavery. We became, right during slavery, we had elected officials in powerful positions, but they gunned them down. So you look at all the measures that it takes to try to keep Black people down, but yet here we are competing. You know, I would stay awake at night too if I had people in bondage for 400 years and all of a sudden they're on the same level or have surpassed me. You know, so their system is weak. They showcase a bunch of puppets, give them a whole lot of money to make it look like they're the best and the greatest of us, when really they're just the placeholders so that the world can say, oh, the United States isn't that bad. Okay, look at how much they rotate a Steve Harvey. And, you know, he basically can't even read or write, you know, but yet he's the voice. He's talking on all these shows, but he hasn't acclimated himself to be a better communicator, you know. Now, I understand entertainment is one thing, but damn, you know, you refine yourself at a certain point in time when you acquire means, right?
Yes.
You should.
Yeah, you should.
You should do better.
You should do better. Don't be no damn clown 24/7. And we got young Black boys and girls who are looking at this saying, oh, education isn't important. And no, there are other examples as well. But we look at how education, acquiring land, and you know, loving our own has fallen to the bottom behind just buffoonery.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have a standard for your family. And you can't be keeping up with the Joneses. You can't be keeping up with them. You should know more about the Real Housewives of Atlanta than you do about your own family.
Right.
You should be in touch with your own children. You should be in touch with your own brothers and sisters that are actually related to you. You should be finding out what their needs are. You need to be finding out what their successes are and supporting them in there and doing the same. And the thing is that you can't expect people to do what you ain't doing yourself.
Those distractions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You have to step up and change. If you want things to change, you got to start changing things yourself. You have to be an example to people, and you have to show them that if I'm going to get out here and fight and be a part, I'm going to be down here at these city hall meetings. I'm going to be down here at these community meetings. I'm going to be up on point and having these plans. I'm going to be a part of setting the agenda if you want an agenda to do it. You can't leave it up to other people. Get involved yourself.
You know, that's so facts. And that's the first component of a system. When we talk about systems on a human level, that's a code of conduct. That's how we conduct ourselves. That's that code. And it starts internally. How in the world do you defeat a system that is so weak as quote unquote white inferiority? Because it really isn't supremacy, because the trillions and billions that have been spent, the energy, the resources that have been invested to hold us down, and it's not worked, yeah, they got a major problem on our hands. So at the root of it is we work on ourselves internally, and the leadership of the community, us as Black men, we're going to have to be more engaging, and we got to work on our emotional intelligence as well. But I would say the one of the worst emotions that we're really dealing with in this thing is apathy. It's too many of us sitting on the sidelines. So
not
we
engaged.
can get not engaged. When we flip that, it's over with, y'all.
And I just like to add this too. You know where, and this is just my an opinion. Before Malcolm X was assassinated, he was interested in taking a lot of issues to the United Nations.
Right.
Imagine we put our plan together and we go to the world and say, hey, look, you know, this country's not all that, which they know. Everybody, you know, look at the George Floyd situation, how the world came out in support of Black people, knowing what we're going through in this country. But, you know, the next level for us, we should have packaged that whole thing and just exposed it to the world. You know, I just say this. In my opinion, Dr. King wouldn't have been as successful as he was had he not won that Nobel Peace Prize. You see, the Nobel Peace Prize was outside the boundaries of the United States.
They couldn't control
it. That was a world. Yeah, that was recognition by the world. We can't fight a
Well,
system of this magnitude of ignorance within its confines. We have to
right.
David
think
and
outside.
Goliath. David and Goliath.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So we have
Well,
the intelligence and the power to do it, and the credibility, even though they try to
yeah.
constantly destroy it, make us the biggest
Oh, yeah.
criminals and losers
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah. Not to lose sight or hope or anything like that, gentlemen. You know, we're gonna have to come back and do a part 2, another 3, and keep doing it. But I think every time we come forward, every time we focus on issues, this system that we're looking at dealing with, I think we have the capabilities of, you know, defeating that system. But it's going to take all our efforts. It's going to start in our families, going to start in our community. So one of the things we want to leave our audience with is don't give up hope. Look at yourself in the mirror. I know, and do whatever you can to better yourself, your family, and your community. And at this particular time, you the hero. Okay, ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody dropping out the sky. Ain't nobody gonna rescue you if you don't rescue yourself. And it's one of the things, you know. And can you guys just maybe just throw a little quickie in there? I was just looking at a quote from James Baldwin. But no people can get anywhere if they don't start, you know, fighting for themselves. So we have to do that. No people come in possession of a culture without having paid a heavy price for it. Now, our ancestors have paid a heavy price for us. Okay, that they paid a price. So we just can't sit idle. I know you guys are not doing it, but one last word of encouragement to anybody out there that you can give them in 30 seconds that can help us win.
Man, thank you for having me. I love chopping it up with you brothers, and I'm so convinced that we're going to do this work online and in the real world. So I salute y'all. Keep on doing what y'all do. And at the end of the day, y'all, we're here and we're going to do the work, and we don't need anybody else. As long as we do what we need to do, we're going to turn this thing around. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brother Reg.
Well, I'm gonna just say for real quick that first of all, it's a great pleasure and honor to be on with you gentlemen, to talk to you all, and to be sure that, you know, we are actually talking about things that actually can affect culture. But do your part and get engaged. Do your part and do your research. Find out what your purpose is, and then you'll also find out what your passion is, and then you find out what your purpose is with that. And you combine that and you'll be effective out there. But start with yourself, cleaning your own self up first for the sake of your children and your family. Get your own life in order. Stop doing these things out here that you know that are not going to be looked upon well. Clear it up with your family first. Then you can be better to help the people in your community.
Thank you. Brother Nate.
Okay, yeah, I say it's been a pleasure being with you fellas again. A strong panel, as always, and educated, knowledgeable. I'd just like to say we're winners. You know, nothing in history has shown that we have ever been a loser. You know, let's get beyond the propaganda, understand who you are, get in touch. Let's put our children first. When we put our children first, everything works out, you know, because it makes us a better people. And as far as these people that's positioned in front of us to make us look like we're less than, they're the celebrity and all this, hell, you know, that's one person who can make $1 million that lynch more of us with the ignorance that they put out. And that's a difficult task to overcome when we're trying to do right for our communities. So we have the power. We need to think holistically, all the way from education to, hey, having a militia position to protect our interests. And I think when we look at that, we have overall success.
And thank you, brothers, and thank our audience out there. For everybody, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to us every week over here. We are ready. You know, one of the things, and this is in the background up here, let me go that way. Hold up your own end. HUYOE, which stands for holding up your own end. That comes from what our brothers Fred V. Man Watson. But if each of us hold up our own end, we won't have to get ready. Okay, We'll always be ready. There's going to be some challenges, some situations and things of that nature. But if we stay ready and we prepare ourselves, our families, and our communities, we'll be in a better position for our survival. This is Reginal Drummer, the peopleologist, coming to you once again. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, everybody out there. We'll definitely see you at the top or from the top. The view can be quite clear from over here. Have a great day.